You wake up and grab your phone right away. You work while your attention is split in 10 different directions. You eat while scrolling, rest while watching short videos, and stay up too late even when you already feel drained. From the outside, it looks normal because this is how a lot of people live now. But from a neuroscience perspective, your brain is paying a price for it. Your attention is getting fragmented. Your reward system is being trained to crave constant stimulation. And over time, that makes deep focus, clear thinking, and steady motivation feel less natural. That is why you feel tired even when you have not done much physically. That is why concentrating feels harder than it used to. And that is why your motivation seems to disappear for no obvious reason. There is a different way to live and work. A way that works with your brain instead of against it. A way that can help you get more done in one focused morning than you used to get done in an entire distracted day. A way that can make clarity, creativity, and discipline feel more natural. But this does not come from one huge life change. It comes from small actions, repeated consistently in the right order. In this video, we are not talking about motivation in a vague way. We are talking about a system of habits and environmental changes that can help rebuild your nervous system from the ground up. And once these pieces start working together, they stop feeling like random advice and start becoming a real operating system for your life. The first principle is the 90-minute rule. Work with your biology, not just with the clock. The brain was not designed to stay deeply focused for hours without a break. It tends to work in natural cycles of about 90 minutes. During each cycle, there is a window where focus, mental energy, and creativity are naturally higher. After that, energy starts to drop. And when you ignore that drop and keep pushing, you usually do not become more productive. You become slower, foggier, and more drained. So instead of forcing yourself to work for 4 or 5 straight hours, start by protecting one deep 90-minute block each day. Put your phone away, silence notifications, remove distractions. Let your brain work in the conditions it was built for. When that focus block ends, your brain does not need more stimulation. It needs a reset. That is where walking becomes powerful. Walking is not just light exercise. It helps shift your brain into a state where ideas connect, stress comes down, and mental recovery begins. It increases blood flow, lowers stress, and gives your nervous system space to reset. You do not need to turn it into a workout. A slow 10 to 15-minute walk without your phone is enough. It may sound too simple to matter, but simple is often what the brain responds to best. The next layer is nutrition, because your brain cannot perform well if the fuel you give it is unstable. What you eat affects attention, memory, and mental clarity. But how you eat matters too. If you eat while scrolling, working, or rushing, your body stays in a mild stress state. So instead of changing your whole diet overnight, start with one small shift. Choose one meal each day where you do not look at a screen at all. That one change helps your body and brain return to a more stable baseline. Another major issue is cheap dopamine from constant technology use. Every notification, every like, every short video gives your brain a quick reward. The problem is not that these rewards exist. The problem is that they are too frequent and too easy. When your brain gets used to fast rewards, slower and more meaningful work starts to feel boring or painful. That is why deep work feels harder after scrolling, not easier. Your brain has been trained to expect novelty every few seconds. So give it a chance to recover. Start with one 15-minute period each day where your phone is completely out of reach. Let your brain sit in the quiet long enough to remember what calm attention feels like. Once you reduce that cheap stimulation, something else can come back. Real curiosity. Curiosity is one of the brain's strongest learning tools. When you become genuinely interested in something, your brain becomes more engaged, more flexible, and more likely to remember it. And, unlike cheap stimulation, curiosity leaves you energized instead of drained. You do not need to make this into a huge project. Just spend a few minutes each day exploring one question that genuinely interests you. That small habit reminds your brain that learning is not only about pressure. It can also feel alive. Controlled discomfort matters too. Cold water is one example. A cold shower feels unpleasant at first, but that discomfort is exactly what makes it useful. It wakes up your nervous system and teaches your brain that discomfort is not the same as danger. Over time, this can improve stress tolerance and emotional control. You do not need to make it extreme. Just finish your normal shower with 15 to 30 seconds of cool water. That is enough to start training your system. Then there is sleep, which is where some of the deepest repair in the brain happens. Sleep is when the brain clears waste, strengthens memory, and resets emotional balance. If you do not sleep well, focus drops, memory weakens, and self-control becomes harder. You cannot build a strong mind on weak sleep. Instead of trying to fix everything at once, make one realistic change. Move your bedtime earlier by 15 minutes and keep it consistent. Real change usually starts with consistency, not intensity. Light movement supports the brain in a similar way. You do not need brutal workouts to help your mind. Walking, stretching, yoga, or light cycling can all improve mood, reduce mental fog, and lower stress. What matters most is regular movement your nervous system can actually handle well. If your schedule is full, connect movement to moments that already exist. Walk for 5 minutes after a meal. Stretch while waiting for water to boil. Small signals, repeated often, can make a big difference. At the end of the day, there are 2 simple ways to reduce mental pressure before sleep. The first is writing down a problem you have not solved yet. That helps your brain stop rehearsing it over and over. The second is writing down whatever is still sitting in your head: tasks, worries, unfinished ideas. This tells your nervous system that nothing important is being forgotten, and that alone can improve sleep and mental clarity. Your brain also needs long-term direction. Without a meaningful target, dopamine gets pulled toward fast and shallow rewards. But when you define a bigger direction for your life, your motivation starts organizing itself around progress instead of distraction. That does not mean you need a perfect 10-year plan. It can be as simple as asking yourself one question: who am I trying to become over the next 1 to 3 years? A clear answer gives your brain something to move toward. Meditation supports this process by helping you create space between stimulus and response. It trains you to notice thoughts and emotions without reacting right away. Even 2 minutes of stillness and breath awareness each day can begin building that skill. When it comes to learning, one of the best ways to turn information into real understanding is to explain it in simple language. If you cannot explain it clearly, you probably do not understand it as well as you think. This forces your brain to organize what it knows and notice the gaps. You do not need an audience. Just say it out loud or write it down simply. In the same way, noticing one small improvement each day helps retrain your reward system. When your brain sees progress, motivation becomes easier to sustain. Strength training, gratitude, short naps, real social connection, and morning sunlight all fit into this same bigger system. Each one supports the brain in a slightly different way. On their own, they may seem small, but together they create a lifestyle that matches how the brain actually works. The deeper lesson is not that you need to do everything at once. It is that your brain does not need to be bullied into becoming stronger. It needs to be supported properly. It needs focus and rest. Morning light and nighttime darkness, movement, nourishment, silence, and real connection. Once you start treating these habits like personal experiments instead of rigid rules, you can begin asking better questions. What makes me feel clearer? What makes me calmer? What helps me focus without draining me? That kind of self-awareness is what helps you build a system that actually fits you. The goal is not to become a productivity machine. The goal is to build a stable foundation where clear thinking, emotional balance, and steady progress become possible. Real change does not come from one dramatic decision. It comes from small choices repeated daily with intention. So if this made you rethink the way you have been living, start with one small change today, just one, and let your nervous system begin learning from there.